We don't get to pick moments of national character. They pick us. Yet when hard times do fall in Canada, they nevertheless almost always come with some mixture of hope and comfort. I think of the callous shooting of Corporal Cirillo in Ottawa less than 2 years past. And along with the sadness of that day and the young life lost, also think of the wave of sentiment that coursed throughout the nation. And I think, too, of that peerless moment when the lady in Ottawa, Barbara Winters, gave Corporal Cirillo comfort in his last minutes. It was a pieta scene. And it's in the way of these things the whole country participated in that wonderful gesture. Events, even on a bigger scale, also summoned the best in people and the national spirit. I was a kid, if that can be imagined, when the Spring Hill mining disaster staggered the nation. But even now, even before the instantaneous communications of modern times linked us up, I can recall how all the country was one in solace and woe and support. I think, too, of the Ocean Ranger tragedy in the oil fields of our North Atlantic and the pall of shock and grief following the great storm that doomed its entire crew of 84 people. But with that memory, there also returns the scenes of aid, prayer, and assistance that all of Newfoundland and all of Canada turned to the families and loved ones left to bear their losses. There is a benign reflex in the Canadian way, which would be improper to boast of, but it's very much worth noting and paying heed to. That when one part of the country faces extreme challenge, all others turn their best thoughts and deeds to helping and caring. When regional differences disappear, when differences in economic standing melt in a common effort, and when even political differences evaporate in a common response. We've seen this often, like the floods in Calgary during the Quebec ice storm, the Lac-Mégantic tragedy. And we see this now with immense clarity in the response to Fort McMurray, when Premier Notley and Wild Rose's Brian Jean have a spirit in tandem, when Justin Trudeau and Rona Ambrose converge in a common effort. And it's not just the big names that set the example. A 5-year-old, Alexander, he's a cherub, sets up a lemonade stand outside a mall in Whitby, Ontario. Citizens converge on social media. Entertainers pledge support. The Red Cross does what it does so well. Big companies show they're more than the bottom line. Day-to-day heroes run up and down the convoy with help. And real folk heroes emerge. Fire Chief Darby Allen, in whose face we now see embodied the spirit of Alberta itself. There is, then, a lot of misery in Fort McMurray and Alberta today, but there is a great counterweight as well. The consideration of Canadians for each other in times of challenge is our greatest bond. We don't get to choose these difficult moments, but what we make of them makes us. For The National, I'm Rex Murphy.